Welcome to our next episode of Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. We are going to do the 1989 made-for-TV movie, The Karen Carpenter Story. And to my chagrin, this is not about construction.
She's a singing carpenter.
A singing carpenter, which you don't find too often. Most carpenters can't sing. The screenplay was by Barry Morrow, and we've already went over his credentials when we did the movie Bill. And that's been some time ago, but I do want to remind you that he was a co-writer for Rain Man, so that's how he really made his name in Hollywood. Um, I did this research on Wednesday, and I looked up whether he was still alive or dead, and I forgot to type it down, and I don't remember. So he's either alive or dead.
Shame on you.
You can probably tell by the smell. So, it was directed by Joseph Sargent, and he directed such movies as White Lightning, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, MacArthur, and Jaws: The Revenge.
Hey, The
Mr.
Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 is a good movie.
Yes, yes. And MacArthur's a pretty good movie too. And White Lightning, that's a Burt Reynolds vehicle. It's a pretty good movie too. It's a popcorn movie, but uh,
I believe Barry Morrow is still alive.
okay, I believe he's dead.
Well, one of us is wrong.
Okay, so Sargent died in 2014 at the age of 89. Our cast, we have Cynthia Gibb as Karen Carpenter, and she was a thing when I was in high school in the 80s because she was the star of the TV show Fame. And for those of you who don't know what Fame was, it was like Glee back in the 80s, and I thought it was a better version. It was more dancing than singing. And it was off the movie, take off of the movie Fame. So she was also in Salvador, Malone, Short Circuit 2. Go ahead and laugh, Tabitha. Short Circuit 2 and Death Warrant.
Poor
So,
Johnny Five.
yeah, why didn't Ali Sheedy redo that movie? I don't know. I bet now Ali Sheedy was like, oh, yeah, I'll do any movie. So,
Probably, yeah.
um, and Cynthia Gibb is still with us at the age of 62.
Well,
We also have,
obviously, Fame. She's gonna live forever.
I see what you did there. So, Um, her brother Richard Carpenter was played by Mitchell Anderson, and he is known for roles in Doogie Howser, Party of Five, Jaws: The Revenge, Space Camp, and a movie called Relax, It's Just Sex. He is
Oh,
still with
that sounds great.
yeah, it's I don't know. It was in that rotation that we would do when you guys were kids, what movie you want to watch? You don't watch Fly the Navigator, Relax, It's Just Sex. So, he is still with us at the age of 64. And we have Peter Michael Getz as Harold Carpenter, her father. And this is interesting. He went to college for a few semesters at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, even though he's from New York, which I don't know how he found his way there, but anyway. Um, he is known for such movies as Room for Two, The Kavanaughs, The Faculty. He was also in the TV show Aftermath. He was in The World
Ooh.
According to Garp and Father of the Bride. And he is still with us at the age of
Yeah.
84.
He's the father-in-law in Father of the Bride, the
Yep.
son-in-law's dad. Yeah.
Yep. And then one of my favorite actresses, just for one role, uh, Agnes Carpenter is played by Louise Fletcher, Nurse Ratched. Won an Academy Award for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as Nurse Ratched, one of the most evil, vile human beings ever to grace cinema. She was also in Firestarter, Flowers in the Attic, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine.
She had a recurring role through the entire series.
Ah,
Yes, and she was also villainous.
okay. And she was also in Picket Fences, which was a pretty good show that I used to watch. I guess that was back in the late 80s, early 90s. I like that. When was Picket Fences? Oh,
I don't know what that is,
okay.
so
Then it's before you. She died in 2022 at the age of 88. This aired January 1st, 1989. Happy New Year's on CBS. And it was up against A View to a Kill, the James Bond movie on ABC, Gremlins on NBC, and It's Gary Shandling Show, The Tracy Ullman Show, and Duet on Fox. Um, so the movie opens in the Carpenter house that they're moving
Lost you.
into. What's that?
Fox.
The movie opens in the Carpenter house. They are moving in 1983 into from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Whoa,
And
that is not how the movie
wait,
opens.
sorry. Gosh dang it. I'm going to edit this out. The movie opens at the Carpenter house in 1983. There's medical personnel. They are loading an unconscious Karen into an ambulance. And you hear the song Rainy Day and Mondays is playing over the credits. They take her to the hospital. A concerned Richard pulls up.
You're
Karen
frozen
is being,
again. Damn it.
we're just going to have to power through. I can't do anything about my internet connection.
Okay, don't yell at
Okay.
me.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to happen. So,
Okay. Um,
um,
this is I these were the real paramedics, by the way,
the real
which is
paramedics.
weird. And it is the real Carpenter home.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. And a concerned Richard pulls up. Karen is being rushed through the halls for dire medical attention. And then we cut to a younger version of Karen roller skating next to the gurney. So it's kind of like transitioning in the scene. I thought it was very effective. She's being wheeled down the hall in a gurney, and then there's the roller skating younger version of her next to the gurney. I thought that was kind of cool. So then it cuts full to the her as a kid roller skating down the streets in Downey, California in 1963. Tabitha, what were you doing in 1963?
Was I doing in 60s? It was so long ago. I think I had just graduated college.
Oh, I wasn't born yet, so I don't know.
Oh, no.
So,
You missed a
um,
great year. Great year.
all right. As she skates into the house, Richard complains to his mother, Agnes, that she sang that song all the way to California. And then mom scolds Karen and she says, start helping to unload the moving van. Um, Karen asks, why did we have to move here? Richard says, so I can be a star. And I'm automatically saying, okay, Richard, it's all about you, isn't it? So anyway, I automatically don't like Richard just for that comment. But anyway, Agnes said, because your father got a better job and so Richard could be a superstar. And I thought, I don't like you either, Agnes.
Oh, there's lots to not like about Richard and Agnes. We'll get into
Oh,
that.
and it gets worse. So,
Mm.
so Karen says that you're not going to be a superstar. And Richard says, don't you think I have the talent? She said, yes, you are the most talented musician I know. He says, then why aren't I going to be a superstar? She said, because they just dropped your piano. And he's like, ah, she was joking. So Richard chases Karen out of the room. And then we cut to a scene at the bowling alley. The family is bowling and they fawn over Harold's bowling skills. Agnes asks the kids if they want hot dogs. What kid doesn't want hot dogs at the bowling alley?
Me.
Okay. What normal kid doesn't want hot dogs at the bowling alley?
No, I used to like hot dogs until they poisoned me at the baseball park. So that's your
Uh,
fault, actually.
what, poisoned hot dogs?
You took me to that game where I got sick from the hot dog. So yeah.
My gosh. So as the kids go to the snack bar, Agnes is worried about Karen. You know, she had friends back at home. And then Harold says, well, she's only 13. She will adjust. And Richard has a job as an organist at a church. So the kids are doing okay. And by the way, Richard's a few years older than Karen. So he's a little bit like the older brother leader type. So then we cut to an outdoor music concert in Downey, California, and Richard is playing a piano piece, and Karen is kind of helping as a page turner, just kind of helping him do the mundane things that need to be done. She's not singing, she's not playing an instrument or anything. And when Richard's done, tremendous rounded applause. And then Karen goes up for her segment and she sings The End of the World. And then we cut home with it. What?
That just made me think of Natalie, the movie, because it had an actor in it she liked, and his character died. And when we got in the car at the end, she played the end of the world. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So we cut to the home with a view of uh the trophy that Richard won. And they're in Karen's room and she's got the trophy in her room and she's got some pizza. And Richard says, take it to the living room. And Karen objects, no, I want to leave it here. And he tells Karen if she found an instrument to stick to it, they could become a team. And she says, yeah, right. You're the one with all the talent. And he said, I know. Doesn't that bug you? And it's at that time I stopped calling him Richard and started calling him Dick. Um, so Richard says, yeah, you're not bad. She says, you really think so? You think we can be a team? He said, yes, but I am the senior member. Then Richard takes pizza from Karen and says she doesn't want to get fat in 20 years. Ooh. Then we cut to Karen playing the xylophone in the marching band because what marching band doesn't need a good xylophone player?
Yeah.
And she asks a friend if she can try his drum. And as she plays around with the drum, he asks her to a dance. And she says, if you let me play drums for the rest of practice, I'll go to the dance with you. I'm thinking, ooh, Karen, man, be that boss woman there. Good
To
job.
which I told the guy, I'm like, dude, that means she doesn't really want to go out with you. She just wants your drums.
Yeah. But guys are stupid though. Oh, you going to dance with me. Um, so anyway, Karen is playing the neck, and then we see Karen playing the drums at practice, and she's actually kind of a natural at playing the drums. And then we cut to the Karen, cut to the scene where Karen's at home, and she's doing what every kid did. She has pots and pans out, and she's making a little makeshift drum set.
Wait, they do tell her that if she plays drums in the band, she doesn't have to take gym. To
Oh
which
yeah, I
I'm
got
like,
that coming up.
oh, okay, because I got out of gym by taking an hour and a half of choir in high school. So I'm like, go, Karen,
There you go.
get out of that gym class.
So Richard says that he talked to the band teacher and he got her out of PE if she sticks with the drums. And then he says the toughest part is going to be convincing mom and dad. And so, of course, the parents, when they tell them, they protest and they tell her, you tried the flute, you tried the accordion. And she's like, the accordion wasn't my idea, man. So, tried the flute, tried the accordion. And Agnes says the drums are not suitable for a young lady. I'm thinking, Nurse Ratched, calm down. Be more of a feminist.
She says, I never pictured my daughter playing the drums. And I'm like, oh no, a girl playing the drums? They used to make scare pictures about this kind of thing.
So Richard injects that if they can find a bass player, they can form a trio. And Karen does talk Agnes into letting her do the drums. So the next scene, they have a bass player, and this trio is doing a jazz gig. And the parents are smiling when Richard has his piano solo. And they win the Hollywood Battle of the Bands for 1966. Now, I will say this. It is probably accurate to say that amongst popular music, Karen Carpenter for a long time was viewed as the best female drummer this planet has ever seen. I don't know if that's still true because I'm not into popular music anymore, but she was one heck of a jazz drummer because I did listen to some of their stuff before they were out of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, she had some really good beats. It was like, my gosh, she's really good. So she was
Interesting.
a natural at the drums. And so um the next scene they're in a studio playing for a studio exec. It's a small time studio and he kind of listens and dismisses them because they don't have a vocalist. And Richard says that I'm working on some top 40 materials and my sister can sing. And he sets up a mic in front of Karen, and she's just kind of stunned. And they play All of My Life, and Karen just nails it. And if you listen to any of the Carpenters' music, Karen was known to never miss a note. The voice is perfect.
She's a
And
beautiful voice. Yeah.
yeah, and even if you're not into that soft rock type stuff, it is infectious. Her voice is. It's just perfect.
Well, they were, I know, made fun of quite a lot in their heyday for being extremely corny.
Yeah. Well, brother and
Yeah.
sister and, whatever. So we cut to the living room where this exec is there from this company called Magic Lantern. And the parents read the contract and are mystified that the contract is just for Karen. And what about him? He's got all the talent, kind of like, geez. The executive tells her that she's got a voice that's one in a million. And parents says that they're not going to sign without Richard. And Richard says, it's okay. And, at what point does it make what point does it make as long as there's a Carpenter on the label? So
Hmm.
dad agrees with Richard, even though Agnes is still kind of, Harold agrees and Harold signs it because Karen is a minor and can't sign her own legal contract. And mom finally relents. So the trio start working on recording some top 40 songs. Richard is working on overdubbing harmonies while Karen is seen exercising. And the next scene, Richard's out taking photos of Karen running because he said we need photos for the record check, and she's like, "I'm just jogging." So Karen does not like this, and Richard does tell her that if she doesn't get off the water diet, she is going to drown. So you kind of got all these little grains that are going on early in her life that there's something amiss there. So the next scene, we are at the studio, and they're recording, and then the exec says, "Oh, by the way, Magic Lantern is belly up, and you can still use a recording studio, but it's over, man." And he does tell them, "You are very good. I do think you have a legitimate shot, but that was kind of a kick in the gut there." That hey, so
Right.
we cut to 2 years later, and so in this 2 years, they've been looking. They've been out. They've been hitting all the clubs and everywhere where they can be heard, and they're looking for a major studio. And Herb Albert, do you know who Herb Albert is, by the way?
No.
Herb Albert was very famous in the 60s. Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass. They were a famous jazz fusion group at the 60s, so he was a big deal at the time. Um, Herb Albert had heard their demos and he liked them, so they go to the A&M studio that Herb Albert had stake in, and they record. And Herb really likes what he's hearing, and then he gives the producer a song by Burt Bacharach, thinking the Carpenters might do something with it. And the next scene, we're at a charity auction. They're playing a gig at the charity auction, and they sing the Bacharach song "Close to You." Why do birds? That one.
Yes.
So, um, at this charity auction, there are a bunch of stars in the music industry that are attending, and Herb introduces Richard to his management team of Sherwin and Tim. And Karen runs into a woman named Lucy who is married to Sherwin in the restroom, and she tells Karen she has a great voice. And Karen compliments her on her dress, and Lucy says that she will go shopping sometime. And Karen is wearing this silly, conservative, almost schoolgirl looking jumper. It's like she's really out of place at this charity thing that she's
Yeah.
just taken over. So Richard uh, uh, breaks the news to Karen that they now have a management team in Tim and Sherwin, which is convenient because Lucy's kind of being her friend now. So
Yeah.
next scene, we're back at home and Richard is watching TV and Agnes comes in.
Wait,
And
what's he
Richard,
watching?
TV, I just said that.
It's a Wonderful Life is playing.
Oh, I didn't even recognize that. So
Yeah.
So Richard says that he can never sleep. Agnes says, I'm worried about you. And Richard says the deeper that they go into this, the more anxiety he gets. And everybody's been there. You have a job or a project you're excited about, and then when you really get into it, you start having anxiety. What if I can't do this? What if this is going to screw up? Yeah. At
Hmm.
least that's the way I think. Richard apparently thinks that too. And there's a commercial break for a bank that comes on with the jingle of We've Only Just Begun. True story. Richard saw it on a commercial and said, I think I can make a song out of that and make a hit out of it. And he did. So,
So he's not really a writer, he's an arranger.
writer arranger, he
Well,
really,
because I thought he wrote some of these, but I'm like, okay, these are songs that already exist. You just change them to fit Karen.
yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah.
Mm.
So, um, Richard calls his producer at 2 a.m. to tell, I got to call the producer, tell him, I got this idea for We've Only Just Begun, this commercial jingle. And mom's still concerned that Richard isn't sleeping, so she gives him quaaludes like a good mother should. Okay.
I laughed so hard.
So we cut to recording of We've Only Just Begun. Herb Albert loves it, and it's going to be a hit. And then we cut to the Carpenter home. Lucy comes over and she brings the news that Close to You is number 7 on the charts. And Richard and Karen are thrilled. They drive up to the driveway because Lucy's just told mom at this point. Richard and Karen drive up. They're thrilled. And look, we are at number 7. And we're going to go open at Lake Tahoe in 2 weeks. And Karen's reading an article from one of the magazines. I don't know if it's Billboard or whatever. Um, but she's reading the article about them, and it says that she
I
is
lost
Rich,
you.
she is Richard's chubby sister.
There you are.
That's not a nice thing to say. I've been called the chubby sister so many times.
Which, not that it matters, it does not matter. And we cannot get this out of our head as a society. But she's not chubby. That's an
No.
insane thing to say about this woman.
Yeah. And at this time, she's still a teenager too.
Yeah.
That's this is a terrible way to talk about a teenage girl with the
Yeah.
anxieties they have now. Um, so then we're at a concert at Lake Tahoe. The concert is sold out and they have the number 1 record in the country and they're getting ready to do the Carson show. Things are really looking up. The next thing they're rehearsing, and Richard and the management team think they need to move Karen from behind the drums to front the band. Karen doesn't want to do this at all. I'm a drummer. I don't want to be up there. I can sing from the drums. I don't want to be front and center. And I've seen this with, well, I haven't seen it. I've heard about this with Phil Collins. I've heard about this with Don Henley, other drummers who sing. They said it's very tough it's different singing behind the drums and then suddenly going out and fronting the band.
Mickey
It's,
Dolenz, too.
yeah, he had that issue too. Yeah.
Well, he was the drummer,
Yeah.
but he was also pretty much the lead singer. I mean, they switched it up some, but he covered the most of them.
Yeah. So Karen doesn't want to do this at all. She says, I'm a drummer. Richard tells Karen, hey, it's my idea. Karen gets angry. Um, then we have a montage of practicing and the wild fans, Karen exercising, the rock and roll lifestyle in montage. It's just really cool. And it's obvious that Karen sees herself as fat for some reason. Well, that's from our perspective, but from the perspective of someone who's battling an issue, a weight issue like this, um, they actually do think they're fat, especially when it's
I mean,
reinforced.
it's a disease. You don't see yourself accurately.
Correct.
Your brain is lying to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So the next scene, we're back at home. They're eating dinner, and Agnes comments that Karen isn't eating. And Karen says that I need to drop some weight. And the conversation surrounds around Karen not eating and Richard not sleeping. And mom asks Richard, Are you still taking those Quaaludes? Are you still on drugs? You know, the drugs that mommy supplied to you. Um,
Lost you again.
you're back. So, Karen says she is making Richard,
Right.
huh? Karen said to Agnes that you're making Richard into a drug person. Um, which she is, you know, and we've all had that mom who's turned us into drug addicts. I did.
Wait, you did what? Sorry.
My
I'm
mom turned
losing
me
you a
into
little
a
bit.
drug addict. So,
Yeah, I cannot see your mom handing you drugs.
but Agnes says that they are not drugs, they're prescription meds. Yeah, that came right out of the 60s, man.
No, and here's where I want to say that apparently Richard was very concerned about making his mother look good in this movie. To
What?
which I said, A, if that's her looking good, she must have been an absolute terror. B, why would you cast Louise Fletcher, famous for playing a horribly evil person, then as your mother?
We're going to get to that at the end.
Okay.
Uh, there are some problems with this movie.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, Karen says that she must be thin because the spotlight is now on her. And dad says, you look fine, but you shouldn't lose any more weight. Next thing, we're at a concert, and Karen is holding up the show. It's the first time she's going to front the band. She's nervous. The manager's getting pissed. Lucy goes into her dressing room, and Karen says, I think this dress makes me look fat. And Lucy says, uh, I look fat standing next to you. And I got something to tell you. The rabbit died. And they embrace. The rabbit died is an old term for Lucy's pregnant. So,
Yes,
yay.
because there was an episode of MASH where Margaret thought she was pregnant, and the only way to find out was to take Radar's rabbit and test it. But he's like, no, rabbit.
Um, so Karen finally hits the stage and she stands front and center and fronts the band. So she kind of got over that. Then she calls Agnes and she said that she loves being out front. And then Richard walks in. They're watching TV together, talking to Agnes. And Karen says that she is eating, and they say goodbye and they hang up. And then Karen bitches to Richard how mom never compliments her. And Richard offers Karen a Quaalude because let's keep it all in the family. And in turn, she offered him an eating disorder. So,
Right. Oh, they're watching The Third Man in this scene, by the way. They're watching some great movies in this movie.
all right. So, Karen laments that she's never going to find someone who wants her. And she talks about having a family and kids in Connecticut. You know, life on the road, being a rock star, it's tough. I mean, that's why I got out of it. So, so then we fast forward to the summer of 1974. Richard and Karen are full blown stars now. They pull up and are greeted by their parents. They have just been touring Japan, and Richard bought a 1959 Fury convertible for dad. And they bought mom clothes, and mom complains that she has nowhere to wear such clothes. And Karen's kind of hurt because, but she keeps her mouth shut because that's the way she's been trained.
Yeah, it's really awful. She's like, "Oh, where would I even wear this?" And then she just kind of leaves it there. It's like,
Yeah.
even children know you're supposed to pretend to like presents people give you, you know?
That's right. And they're at the house that Richard and Karen bought for mom and dad. And mom and dad says, "Hey, let's go up and see your new rooms." They're in their 20s now. And Karen stops walking up the stairs to see her new room. And she said, "Mom, you don't expect us to live with you forever?" She says, "Of course not. When you get married, you'll have a home of your own." She's like, "I'm 24 years old. Don't make me feel guilty for wanting to move away from home." And Richard says they're thinking about sharing a place of their own. And I thought, odd and slightly gross. I wouldn't want to share a home with my sister.
Well,
I
their careers are tied together. It's a little different.
I understand that, but sharing a home when you have the money to buy your own home, that's
I mean, maybe he picked up on that was the only way mom would be like, "Oh, okay, I guess if they're living together," because it was clear she didn't want Karen living on her own.
I guess you're right, but I'm just saying, buy houses in the same neighborhood next to each other or something, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So that's gonna come and bite them, and we'll see in a minute. So Richard says they're thinking about buying the house on their own, and Agnes and Harold relent when Richard tells them that they would buy a house close to them in town. So the next thing, we're at a housewarming party. Richard and Karen have bought this house, and Sherwin shows up, and Sherwin has his daughter Randy with him, and she's a big fan, and she bought Richard and Karen a clock for a housewarming gift, and Lucy wants to set up Karen with some guy named Peter, who is a rich straight guy. I guess that was very important for them to include in this. And obviously, Richard has taken a fancy to Randy, Sherwin's daughter.
Well, as a woman, I probably wouldn't want to go out on a date with a poor gay guy. So,
I guess you're right. So, uh, the next scene, uh, Karen and Peter are on a date. I thought it was weird that we have a Peter and a Richard, a Peter and a Dick in this. But anyway, um,
pervert.
yeah, they are perverts. That's what I was thinking. Okay. But anyway, so Karen and Peter are on a date, and they come to the house, and then he says he's in love with her. Can I come in for some milk and cookies? Which translated, can I come in for some milk and nookie? And as they're laying on the couch, he's kissing her and got her laid on the couch, and we know where this is going. They hear Richard and his girlfriend Randy talking, and they come out and say hi to Peter and Karen. I thought, well, this is really awkward. This is why you don't live with your sibling. What if you want to do something adult? You
Well,
don't want
go
your
to your
sibling
room.
around
Why are you doing it in the common living area?
because it's her house. She should be able to do it where she feels most comfortable. So Peter leaves. He packs up his blue balls and he leaves. And
And that's the last time we'll see him. So,
yeah,
what a
yeah.
great love story.
So the next morning, Karen is making breakfast and tell Richard that she wants Randy out of the house. And he says, well, it's my house too. And she says, it's not fair to me. Richard did just, she's talking about what happened last night. He says, I don't remember what happened last night. Oh, you didn't, you know, remember your coitus interruptus on me? So anyway, uh, she's like, oh my God, Richard, you got to get off the Quaaludes. And he says,
She
let's
says
talk.
about Randy, she's like, "Is she on drugs?" I wanted him to say, "No, I'm on drugs."
Yeah. uh, so Richard retorts her, let's talk about your weight obsession. And Karen says that she will move out tomorrow, but Richard's not a fan of that. But anyway, next scene, we're at a restaurant. Karen and Lucy are having lunch with Lucy's baby, and Karen does not want to eat. Lucy's a little bit concerned that Karen's not eating, and Karen invites her to her new condo. Lucy says that I saw Peter. Sorry it didn't work out. And she said, hey, I'm in love with my brother. What can I say? So,
Okay, they're not the Osmonds.
yeah. So, anyway, the next scene, she's taken Lucy to the condo. Agnes is there and wants a minute with Karen. And Agnes says, I found all these, and it was laxatives and suppositories, stuff you're going to
Hmm.
take if you want to lose weight. And she chews Karen out about her weight, and Karen says that she's fat. So mom lifts the back of her shirt, and apparently Karen is just skin and bones down there.
Yeah.
They show it from the front so you don't see it, but
Well, yeah, they're
Karen's,
not really gonna make Cynthia Gibb make herself ill for the shot in
yeah.
the movie.
Who was in The Mechanic? Was that Christian Bale who lost all that weight?
The machinist.
The
Yes, it was. Well,
machinist.
Christian Bale's a weird guy. He just does that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was over the top.
Yeah.
Um, so Karen tells Agnes that you need to get on to Richard about taking the Quaaludes, and Karen tells her to stay out of her personal life. Um, that Mom, you're smothering me. And Karen promises Agnes that she will stop using the laxatives and suppositories. I'm not going to use that anymore.
I
And then,
do think that this is the strongest scene in the movie, this confrontation. This scene has a little more bite into it. They both come across as very real people, who care about each other, but they cannot communicate, you
yes,
know, effectively.
but they do embrace at the end of that scene. So then we cut to Karen jogging, exercising, inspecting her fat content. Um, then we go to a concert in Vegas, and Karen is very skinny at this concert, and she passes out on stage. So they take her to the hospital, and the nurse tells Richard that she is 35 pounds underweight, and he says nobody can make her eat. Is she on drugs? No, she's not on drugs. She just doesn't eat. So then we go to the hospital room where Harold and Agnes are there, and they're saying that she can't get out of the hospital till she's gained some weight. And Karen says, "Oh, I'm going to gain some weight. Don't worry about it. I've learned my lesson, blah, blah, blah." Agnes says that is what she always says. And Karen says, "As soon as the tour for Europe and Japan are over, I'm going to just rest. I'm just going to sleep." And said, "Well, the doctors don't think you should go." And then Richard tells her, "We've already canceled the tour." And she, "What? What?" And he said he's going to Japan for a press conference to explain why they are canceling. So um,
Now,
it's
I can give the family a little bit of grace here because I don't know how much was really known about eating disorders and anorexia at this time, like as a psychological disease.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So well, when you just look at it on the surface, you just say eat. You're anorexic,
right.
eat. But it becomes the point where it's a repulsion to put stuff in your mouth and swallow it.
Yeah.
So you throw it back up or you take the suppositories and crap it out. It becomes a mental thing.
Yes.
So anyway, and then Richard breaks the news that Sherwin is not their manager anymore, and Karen's a little angry and says, "Yeah, that Sherwin and uh, Ted's his name. Why do I keep calling him Ted? Sherwin and Ted split, and that is that." And so Karen says, "Does that mean you won't be seeing Randy anymore?" So then we cut to September 1978. They're in concert. The curtain drops, and Karen asks Richard if he is fine. And he's leaving, and he starts walking down the stairs. He gets woozy, and he falls down the stairs. So Richard, he uh, goes into rehab for 6 weeks, and Karen says that she's going to come and visit him every week. And her that Ted Karen tells him that she and Ted are talking about recording a new album. Richard's like, without me. And they argue that she is jumping ship. And Richard apologizes and tells her that admitting he is sick and screwed up is hard. What about you? You were supposed to be getting better by now. Um, Good time for you to get help too. And Karen says, "Okay, when you get out of here, I'll get help." They kind of have a deal. So the next scene, we're at a senator candidate fundraising luncheon, which sounds as fun as it looks, by the way.
Right.
And Karen is there with Lucy, and she meets a guy named Bob Knight, not the Indiana basketball coach of lore, Bob Knight. And he acts like he has no idea who she is. And
This annoyed me.
that kind of like Karen, oh, really? Okay. So Lucy calls Karen over and she tells Bob that she needs to go. And he replies, "Well, we've only just begun." And I thought, "Oh, I see what you did there. What a smooth operator."
Yeah, apparently that worked, but I didn't like that. I feel like it put her in an awkward position to have to be like, what, well, when he's like, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a very famous singer, I don't know. I didn't like it.
No, well, um, they're all dead anyway. Who cares? So anyway,
Wow.
Um, Next scene, we're at Karen and Bob's wedding, um, and they have the song "This Masquerade" that Karen is singing over the wedding scenes, which really, really is kind of ticked me off. This Masquerade was first recorded by George Benson, and he won a Grammy for it. It is a wonderful song when he sings it with his smooth jazz voice. I didn't like it being bubblegummy and pop. I thought, oh, it's so biting when George Benson sings it. You could just feel the the hollowness of this relationship. And here's Karen Carpenter singing about it like we've only just begun. Why do birds, and all this other stuff, and thinking that's not the tone of this song. But anyway,
That's really interesting actually, because I wrote down I'm not familiar with this song. I really like it. It does not sound as insipid as a lot of the other Carpenter songs I've heard.
oh, uh, listen to it with the lyrics, and then listen to the George Benson.
No,
George
I
Benson,
understand the
yeah,
lyrics and I like the melody better. It wasn't as birds, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So, um, the next scene, Karen is singing on TV. Bob is watching the TV, and we just see a montage of things going on, and we can tell that, the marriage isn't good, and
Yeah, this
Karen's,
whole song is from their marriage to their split. So,
yeah,
once
yeah.
again, great love story.
So, anyway, the next scene at home, the family is bickering with Karen over her bad marriage, and Agnes says they just want her to be happy. Karen says that it is her fault because I'm so busy and that's why my marriage sucks. And Agnes says that they should get a divorce. And Richard says she doesn't have a choice. This devolves into a fight and Karen has a breakdown. Richard hugs her, and when he hugs her, he realizes that she is still just skin and bones, and he implores her to get help.
Yeah, Agnes was annoying in this scene because I did appreciate her saying you should get a divorce because there's a lot of older generation. Don't you get a divorce? You work through it. You just deal with it. But then she devolved into this, oh, so I'm a bad mother, I suppose. I failed to raise my daughter. Well, fuck me. I guess it's all my fault. And I'm like, shut up, Agnes. This isn't about you.
It's always about Agnes. So, um, the next scene, the family is meeting with a doctor. Karen voluntarily went to get help with her eating disorder, and doctor says she has anorexia, and it's a psychological disorder. And he compliments the courage that Karen had to come in, and he's encouraging her. And he says there's a chemical change that takes place in the body because she feels good. And then he goes into that a little bit. The doctor explains that Karen feels like she has no control over her life, especially since the divorce. And this is something she has total control over. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the psychological components of it. Weight loss was the one thing that she can control. And Agnes blames herself and the way they parent. And then she disses the doctor because he called her Agnes instead of Mrs. Carpenter. And okay, I will not call you Agnes anymore. You are now bitch. Okay, so
Right?
anyway, then she disrespects the doctor even more by saying that she doesn't put much stock into the psychiatry business. He says, Karen came to me, which is positive. The more cooperation from the family, the better this fight can be for her. So Karen, they call Karen into the room, and he says that all anorexics, the common denominator is fear of not living up to their family's expectations, that they won't be loved. Have you told her that you loved her? And Agnes says, we just don't do things like that. That's not the way we do things. You so
Even though
loved.
Karen has said she loves her mother to her face at least once in this movie.
Yeah,
So it's just not how you do
yeah.
things, Agnes.
You show a person you love, you don't tell them.
You do both.
And would the doctor says, would it hurt to try? And Agnes says, I don't think you understand our family. Okay. I was not raised in an environment where we told each other we loved each other. Just wasn't. Um, and I made it a point that when I die, my kids are going to know one thing, that I love them, period. You may not know anything else, but you will know that I love you. You may not even know that the sky is blue, but you will know this. So I completely agree with the doctor. It is something that needs to be said in relationships. Um, you can't just show or assume because people aren't wired that way. You think, what's their motive? Do they love me? Are they manipulating me? It becomes a trauma to someone who's raised in that environment.
Yeah, and I there has to be something wrong with this woman that all she has to do is look at her own child and say I love you, and she cannot do it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
So um the doctor asks Agnes to talk to Karen, and Agnes says, this is ridiculous. We came 3,000 miles for this nonsense. And we don't need to tell her. She knows we love her.
I tell Dominic I love him like 10 times a day. You know, he's probably sick of hearing it.
Oh, yeah. That's it's something that families need to do. And
Yeah.
I've become much better as I've become older and mature. And of course, spending 10 years in the ministry, you have to force yourself to be more emotional with people
Hmm.
because you're dealing with very emotional things. So I was a very stoic person growing up. And then when I went to the ministry, it's like, I can't be like this. I can't have someone come in and say, crying, saying, my baby's got pneumonia. Me saying, well, that's interesting. Maybe we should pray about that baby. You have to force yourself. So,
Like reminds me of that Simpsons where Bart has that dream he's on death row and Father Lovejoy comes in. Father, are you here to comfort me? Yes, son. There, there. There, there.
oh, so we have a montage of her, getting IV drips and the medical healings and her hospital stay. And then there's a couple of doctors, her doctor and another doctor talking that Karen wants to go home for Thanksgiving.
And one of them is James Hong. He's literally been in everything in the world.
Really?
Yes. I was like, oh my God, he pops up in everything. That's
Hmm.
so cool.
He says, well, her weight is up to 104. And the next scene, Karen's flying home for Thanksgiving and she looks good. She wants to get back to work and she says, hey, tell everybody that Karen Carpenter's back in town. And they're like, who? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She used to be famous. All right. So
Aw.
in the studio, again, they're recording a song in one take, and Richard says it's perfect. That's a wrap. And Karen wants to stay and record more. She insists that she's not tired, and Richard's kind of dragging around the studio. And then the next scene, we're at Thanksgiving dinner. The family is together. Harold says grace and thanks God for bringing Karen home. Karen watches the food being passed around. Um, they all look at Karen and she starts eating. I'll have this. I'm going to have seconds, stuff like that. So the next scene, Karen is up on the piano and dad tells her that she needs sleep. She asks if she can spend the night. And mom says to Karen, you want to go clothes shopping tomorrow? And Karen says, sure, And then she says, and Karen, I love you. And she says, I love you too, mom. And then we have, I think it's called
Hold on.
the
I'm
epilogue.
very confident that did not happen, by the way.
Okay, well, we're going to get into that
Okay.
just 30 seconds.
Okay.
Then there's
Yeah.
the epilogue at the end that she died of heart failure on February 1st, 1983, at the age of 32. I remember that. It was my junior year of high school, and it was like, oh, Karen Carpenter died. And I'm thinking, gosh, she couldn't have been that old. And, that was probably the first I'd heard of an eating disorder. But anyway, let's talk about the controversies over this film. And Richard had final say of the script. And this is from an interview that I found with Cynthia Gibb and a few articles that I've read. Richard would disappear, and what he was doing that they have surmised is he was taking the script to Agnes, and Agnes was rewriting it to make her more favorable. Richard would bring the script back and say, "We're changing it from this to this." And as Cynthia Gibbs said, this was not the movie we started with. This was just completely spit shined. The reality of it is that Agnes was the problem in their life, in Karen's life. Agnes was also the problem in Richard's drug problem, but she acted like, well, it's just medical stuff. It's not drugs. She was a stage mom. She spoiled Richard. Richard was the genius, the musical genius. Karen was nothing but an afterthought. So when Karen became famous, more famous than Richard, because let's face it, the singer is much more famous than the arranger and composer of music.
Yeah, you're
Um,
you're the face. That's who you're
yeah,
hearing when you think of the song. So
yeah.
yeah,
Agnes never could reconcile that. Richard was the chosen one. And
she's
that's,
a she's what they call a boy mom. TM.
yeah, yeah. So that's the problem with this movie is it just isn't accurate. Even though Agnes is a real piece of work in this, she was much worse in real life. What did you find out when you were looking about this? About the same thing or
Mostly the same thing. So when Barry Morrow went to interview the Carpenter family, the first thing Agnes said to him is, "I want you to know I did not kill my daughter." What? So obviously there were rumors to the time of, well, her mom drove her to this, you know? And Morrill, as you said, was asked for several rewrites. And by I think the fourth or fifth time they asked him to rewrite it, he got fed up. And a writer named Cynthia Cherback came in to soften the edges of Agnes. Um, and I'm not saying her family didn't love her. I'm not blaming them for her death. I would simply hope that with more knowledge about anorexia and mental health, it would have been handled differently today, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. What I do appreciate about the movie though is they kept enough in there to let people know that there is a family component that really is the genesis for anorexia.
Yeah.
They did not take that out. Even though Agnes objected to it, um, that they did leave that in the movie, and I was surprised that she left that in the movie. But anyway, Tabitha, do you think that I saw this as a kid? Well, I was an adult by then. Did you think I saw the original airing? Did I see a repeat of this? Or was this the first time I saw the Karen Carpenter story?
The original.
I did. Me and your mother, New Year's night, 1989, Kansas City, Missouri. We sat there and we watched this.
You party animals.
Oh yeah. Um, yeah, as I was in seminary. So anyway, um, the when we watched it, I really liked it. And I had no idea about any of this backstory. I was not a Carpenters fan growing up. I remembered their songs. They were a little bit too milquetoast for me, but hey, but I did appreciate her voice. Just
Yeah.
wonderful voice. Um, so at that time, I thought good movie. And then as the years have went by, and we found out more about the way the movie was made. We found out more about the absolute appalling behavior that was going on from the time she was a little girl for the rest of her life in that house where mom had a stranglehold over everybody, including dad, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, then I thought I really want to rewatch this sometime, but then it hit me the other day, a couple weeks ago. I should do this movie. I want to see this again. So I was very excited to see it again, but looking at it through different lenses. Do you give this a classic or a trash it?
I feel like I have to give it a trash it.
Yeah. Yeah. If the movie was fictional, I would be on the fence.
Hmm.
Um, it is a little milk toast, but the Carpenters were, but it could have had a little more bite to it. Um, but knowing that this is just a complete, not a complete fabrication, but a complete reworking of the script,
A whitewashing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta trash it. It's like this. I I have a degree in history. I cannot stand watching historical movies when things are out of place or out of sequence or something is thrown in that didn't happen. It just bothers the heck out of me. No, that's not what happened. So, um, that's my problem with this. I just point, that's not how it happened. So I give it a big trash it. So
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of, or maybe even seen, Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, so it is on YouTube in terrible quality because it's, you can't officially watch it. So Todd Haynes made this film with all Barbie, well, not even Barbies. They were knockoff Barbies because Mattel tried to sue them, but they weren't actually Barbies, so that didn't work out. Um, Why it is impossible to see is because Richard Carpenter did not appreciate it and did everything he could to suppress it. And in fairness, it uses a ton of their music without having the rights. So that was Richard's way to suppress it, but that wasn't his reason. Let's be real. The movie was much more blunt about Agnes and Richard. Um, like Haynes and even other film critics pleaded with him to let the movie be shown. No avail. He did not want his family's dirty laundry being put out like that. But it's an interesting experimental film, if nothing else. It's only like 45 minutes. It's very short. So I recommend checking it out.
Oh, I'll do that.
Yeah. Also, I watched you remember Todd in the Shadows, the music critic I
Oh
watched
yeah.
on YouTube? Yeah. Okay, so he has a show called Train Records, and he did the Carpenters, was it their last album? One of their last albums called Passages, and which I recommend you checking that out too. It's fascinating. But he had a line that I liked. He said he never liked the upbeat Carpenter songs. He says, upbeat Carpenters is just Captain and Tennille, and I don't need that. That really made me laugh.
Oh, I do remember their last hit was a remake of Mr. Postman. And I don't, that could have been a recording that was completely minus Richard because it was just kind of a straight redoing of Mr. Postman, just with Karen singing it. It didn't sound like a Carpenter song. It sounded like Karen Carpenter singing a song, which kind of like, all right. But yeah, I kind of wondered when I was watching this, was that made at that time period where Karen was just going to the studio with Ted and doing her
Right,
thing. So,
right.
but anyway, fascinating the way this came together. But it really, yeah, I can't say this. There's nothing but tragedy in the story of Karen Carpenter. Um, but you look at silver linings about people's life. It did bring anorexia to the forefront
Yes.
because up until that point, you'd heard about anorexia, you didn't understand it, and the thought was, well, people should just eat. And
Yeah.
this kind of brought it when she died, it kind of brought it to the forefront. This is a mental disorder. It's not really an eating disorder. It's a
Mhm.
mental disorder that affects your eating. And yeah, so you know, if you're gonna die tragically, it's good that there's something that people can take from that. So
Yeah. Hmm.
anyway, what movie are we gonna do next week?
Well, next week I thought I'd take us back to the oddly specific subgenre of cancer football movies, and we are going to watch Brian's Song.
Brian? I've never heard of that.
Oh, are you in for a treat?
Huh. Is is that about a guy named Brian who sings?
Yes. He sings
Okay.
about he sings about football and cancer. Those are the only two subjects, yeah, that he sings about.
Hmm. Okay. Who is in this movie?
James Caan and Billy D. Williams.
Uh, Billy D. Williams is one of only about a million guys who are more handsome than me. I mean, seriously, if you're a guy and you see Billy D. Williams, you think maybe I could be gay. He is so freaking handsome. So,
Oh, okay.
all right, well, everybody, we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us, and we're sorry about the technical difficulties.
Bye.
Bye bye.